The First Alert Weather Day continuing for your Thursday as the heat advisory is reissued. We're on your side with how hot we're expecting it to go and if we could see some relief very soon.
And we continue to bring the latest on the tropical development in the Gulf and tell you what that means for our rain chances as we head towards the weekend.
Plus, as the heat cranks up, we're on your side with tips on how you can stay hydrated, and we speak with an expert on how certain medications can impact your response to heat.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
But we begin with some incredible video. That is a rope stage tornado. A close encounter with this tornado happened yesterday by local storm spotter Ryan Carty. He was in Nebraska in the Mullen area on Tuesday when this happened. And you look at that, you see the rope and the vortex overhead, but on the ground, you could see that the wind was in contact with the ground. You know, a lot of times we'll see funnel clouds, but it's not a tornado unless the contact is made with the ground, and you see the debris right there. But hey, look who's back.
I know.
Yeah.
She heard we had some cool tornado video.
I know. That's why I popped in.
Yeah, that's it. She's like, oh, I just want to see that.
Well, Tania, of course, you were back yesterday, and we had baseball last night, but we're glad to be back for Weather Extra. As you can see, I didn't get the red memo, but I got red socks on. How about that? Will that work?
You know, that's fine. I mean, it's a First Alert Weather Day. You got to wear the red.
Yeah,
right?
got to wear the red. And listen, this heat, this is serious stuff out there today. The heat index 105 plus, and that's what's going to be back for tomorrow. We have another First Alert Weather Day coming up for our Thursday and also into our Friday, one of the next big things. And notice we also have the possibility that we could see some scattered heavy showers and possibly a thunderstorm as we move ahead. And yeah, you see that third weather headline there. That's because we're tracking a lot of moisture over the region, that tropical disturbance to the south. The current heat index right now, 100 at Coleman, 101 in Fayette, 102 at Jasper. And T-Town, it just keeps going up. We're now up to 104, 106 at Utah. So again, dangerous heat levels and the same areas under heat advisories from the National Weather Service. Notice even St. Clair County, this is tomorrow, added to the heat advisory. We also have Shelby, Jefferson, Blount County. So again, some of the same areas looking ahead to tomorrow will be under heat advisories. But we've been talking a lot about scattered showers and storms, greater chance east and southeast. But right now we're seeing some development happening into parts of Marion County. It's just so hot here across these areas compared to other parts of the state. It's allowing for some of these little pop-up showers and storms. They're drifting back to the west direction, but there's one right there over the past hour. You can see it's not covering a lot of territory. These are moving very slowly, and that's the thing we got to watch out for, especially this weekend, early next week. We get a couple storms like this, move slow. They're producing a lot of rainfall. We could end up with some flooding issues, but looking at Marion County, also a little pop-up north of Brilliant. So some of us out there winning out on the pop-up storms for the afternoon. In this kind of weather, we need a little rain, right, to help cool us off. There's a little boundary moving into the south part of the area I was watching for that might set off an isolated shower or storm for parts of Chilton and Shelby County. Not seeing much at the moment, but just giving you that first alert. Don't be surprised if we do see a shower or storm pop up in here. Nothing like what's going on along the coast. Some intense storms impacting Pensacola. This is all associated with that strong tropical wave that we've been telling you about moving over the Gulf. Still a chance that this may become better organized. And as we told you right here on Weather Extra earlier this week, Matt talked about the track of this. If it would move further north and had more interaction with the coast, that might limit development. But meteorologist Lauren Linehan joining us now to talk a lot more about this. Lauren, it looks like this system now still a 40% chance for development.
Yeah, Wes, it does appear to also be taking that more northerly track through the Gulf. And so I think that's definitely helping to hinder organization. You've got a situation where farther north in the Gulf, there's a little bit more wind shear that is preventing it from organizing quite as well. So for now, still that 40% medium chance for development. We'll get another update tonight and have updates for you tonight coming up on First at 9. But for now, even if it's not a named system, so to speak, which that next name on the list is Dexter, it's still going to be having impacts with heavy rainfall along parts of the Gulf Coast. Now, if the wind shear environment, if there were less hostile winds in the atmosphere, then we could certainly see some development. You'll notice closer to the coast around Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the Florida Panhandle, water temperatures are in the upper 80s. So for the the Gulf, that's basically boiling water. And if you were to step inside the Gulf right now, it would just feel gross. So one thing we are going to be seeing, even if we don't get a name system, of course, a heavy rain threat, but there's also rough surf along the Gulf Coast. So you'll see for Thursday and Friday in Gulf Shores, there is a high rip current risk. It should improve a little bit by the weekend, but like I said, that water temperature real gross right now, 89 degrees. So it's just not going to feel very good, but that is ample fuel for these types of systems. So as we look at the future cast here along the Gulf Coast, you can see some more rain possible in areas like Louisiana and closer to Gulfport this evening. And then as we get into your Thursday, for us, it still looks fairly quiet, just isolated rain chances. We could eventually get some scattered activity on the north side of that system. That could bring us a little bit more rain as we go into your Friday. Tania?
Yes, Lauren, and yes, some areas down at the coast getting a little bit of rain and some storms, and that could bring some heat relief, but we're not seeing much heat relief for our area yet, okay? Hopefully we get some more wet weather later into this week. But speaking of the heat, you want to make sure you're being safe. That means drinking plenty of water. That means as much water as you can get. Every time you sweat, you need to replenish, okay? Take regular breaks, find shade, get under those trees. If you have to do some yard work early in the day, late at night, it's going to be your best bet. And then you also want to make sure you're wearing sunscreen. Be sure to layer on that SPF multiple times throughout the day, okay? You need to keep reapplying. But rising temperatures may also be related to increased stress. A psychologist with the Cleveland Clinic says our bodies go into overdrive to keep us cool, which can cause irritability. Heat can also take a toll on your sleep, and doctors say it's important to stay hydrated to help regulate your body.
And with these climbing temperatures, you may want to be especially careful in the summer heat, depending on what medication you take. I spoke with Brad Burke, a clinical pharmacist at UAB, about how some antidepressants can make us more susceptible to heat stress.
And transparently, I take Zoloft, and it has certainly helped with my mental health, with depression and anxiety. But even I have noticed myself, I feel like the past couple of summers, I've been getting overheated more easily. So what is the connection? What does the science tell us about the connection between SSRIs and heat stress?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, not as much as we would like to know. I think that we're really due for more research within this area. But what we do kind of hypothesize is that serotonin, that increase in serotonin from these medications, may act upon a part of the brain known as the hypothalamus, which helps to regulate your temperature within your body. And this activity may potentially impair your body's ability to regulate its temperature and ultimately make you more sensitive to heat. But there may be also another couple mechanisms at play here. Specifically, SSRIs can either cause more sweating, which may lead to dehydration, or potentially may cause a lack of sweating, which is really your body's natural way of kind of cooling itself off. So in either instance, you could potentially have a heat stroke or heat exhaustion, which, manifests as that flushing of the skin that's kind of hot to the touch, having dizziness, confusion, or possible headaches.
Really interesting. And of course, we're getting into the dog days of summer, and that can certainly become a concern for some people. What are maybe some signs if someone is taking an SSRI that they would see the potential for maybe they are more susceptible to heat stress or heat stroke or exhaustion, as you mentioned? What are those kind of telltale signs?
Right. And so that would definitely be some of those things like the flushing of the skin that is hot to the touch, having dizziness, confusion, or a headache. There's probably nothing that is necessarily something that would be a telltale sign, like in the beginning to say like, okay, this is for sure a sign that this is secondary to the Zoloft and that it is, or to your SSRI, and that this is potentially maybe even like a heat stroke necessarily. There is not going to be that one specific sign for most people, I would believe. It's probably just kind of a culmination of all of those specific factors. But one thing I would say is that just because you have those features, it doesn't necessarily mean for sure that it is a heat stroke. It could also potentially be serotonin syndrome, which looks a lot like a heat stroke. It can manifest as things such as that confusion, the irritability, nausea, vomiting, high blood pressure and heart rate, and possibly having some type of muscle twitching. So it's definitely a medical emergency in either case.
And in 30 seconds, we continue to talk about tomorrow's First Alert Weather Day and when we can expect some more storms here in our neck of the woods. Plus, we're headed to space where we learn about the science behind Earth's rotation. We'll be right back.
Are you doing this, Lauren? Yes. Is this block just you?
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan here. Let's get a little check on First Alert AccuTrack. Maybe you're going to be headed out to dinner after you wrap up with us here. So overall, the rain coverage isn't too impressive today. It's certainly a little bit more impressive closer to the coast where we have that tropical low that's been spinning. But we'll zoom into some of the spots that we're seeing, a couple little thunder showers around. You can see this one that has a single lightning strike on it from Reform, Carrollton, Aliceville, and zoom in a little closer here. You can see near Ridge, just to the south of that near West Green, we've got a heavier downpour. So this is all kind of pushing to the west. We're on the north side of that low, and so typically the flow that you see on the north side of an area of low pressure, it's coming in out of the east. So that's why we're seeing that kind of general trend towards these thunder showers moving to the east. We zoom in a little bit farther to the north around Gordo, Nolan, Ecola, just a couple of downpours around. Hey, if these come through, they can certainly help to cool you off. And then as we look a little bit farther to the north as well, near Hamilton, to the east of Hamilton, another little thunder shower. Well, happening today, a 7.3 magnitude earthquake striking Popoff Island earlier this afternoon, prompting a tsunami warning from the National Weather Service. Residents in warning zones were urged to get to higher ground or evacuate inland due to the threat. The warning has since been canceled and an advisory is now issued.
And taking you beyond the atmosphere to an interesting phenomenon, meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with the Weather Extra on why we experience short days throughout the year.
Well, as you know, the Earth rotates. We revolve around the sun. But did you know the Earth might be rotating or speeding up just a little bit? Well, with us today, I've got Deborah Bird from EarthSky to talk a little bit about how Earth's rotation might actually be speeding up just a bit this year. Tell us about this, Deborah.
Okay, so it's not exactly that Earth's rotation is speeding up. It's that Earth's rotation is variable.
Okay.
So
explain that.
Yeah.
What does that mean, variable? Because I've seen on social media they're saying it's speeding up. So it's just variable. What does that mean?
It's variable. So sometimes it goes a little bit faster and sometimes it goes a little bit slower. And so what it means is that, the length of a day is 24 hours. So that's 86,400 seconds. But Earth doesn't spin at a precisely constant rate. And the little variations are super small. They're measured in thousandths of a second, milliseconds. So a millisecond is 100 times slower than an eye blink. And the shortest day that's been measured was in 2024. It was actually in July of 2024. And it was measured as being 1.05 milliseconds less than 86,400 seconds. So now what's happening is that they're predicting that this year's days will be short again by that much, or who knows, maybe even more.
All right, so I read this happened like July 9th, 10th, and this is going to happen again July 22nd, but you're talking about less than a second. Like, we're not going to notice this.
Oh gosh, no, we're not going to notice it for sure. But it's really interesting to think. I mean, what's so interesting about astronomy is that everything is happening on some kind of cycle, but there are also these irregularities. So this particular irregularity is happening in part because something cyclical, the orbit of the moon. So as the moon gets farther north of the equator and farther south of the equator over the course of a month. It can kind of pull on the Earth and cause its rotation rate to vary a little bit. But there are also, these factors having to do with, for example, something you can relate to, Matt, the movement of Earth's atmosphere, which is on kind of a yearly cycle that peaks every year in July. And that's why the shortest day last year was in July, and the shortest days this year are happening now as well. So there's different cycles being piled up on top of each other. But in addition to all of that, there's something else that's causing Earth to be spinning just a little faster than scientists thought it should be. And they don't know what that something else is. So that's a mystery. We still have some mysteries.
Coming up on First Alert Weather Extra, we bring you the latest on those rain chances for your Friday. And we're going to show the views of the world through your eyes as we share your photos sent in through the First Alert Weather app. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And time for Weather Extra on the tropics at the moment. We're watching this wave that's over the Gulf, and you can see it's tracking so far north that it's interacting with land, and I really think that that's going to disrupt the circulation here, limit the strengthening, so I don't expect this to grow into a major hurricane at the moment. The way it looks like it, if it does develop, may become a tropical depression. We're north of the center of circulation, so we haven't seen quite as much wet weather out there. We are tracking a couple of isolated showers over into West Alabama right now, actually around Utah Looks like actually north of Bolaji, it's at past north of Utah, moving into Sumter County and into parts of Pickens County, moving east to west across the area. A little downpour right around Gordo, so some of us getting a little bit of rain to cool us off, and these are areas where we really need it here. We've had some of those heat extremes, a first alert weather day in New Marion County as well, north of Brilliant. We're also dealing with those triple-digit feels-like temperatures. There's a boundary in here. We did see quite a few storms back in towards places like Dadeville down into southeast Alabama, and what's left of that little boundary moving north, it may still set off an isolated shower or storm perhaps around Shelby County, but nothing like what's happening in the Gulf with that tropical wave. Some heavy storms pushing through Pensacola. This time yesterday we had flood warnings around Panama City. That's the big concern for folks traveling south to the coast, those scattered storms and localized flooding. As for us, not seeing a lot of wet weather tomorrow. Most of the day just still extremely hot, humid. We'll see highs in the 90s, heat index topping 100, maybe an isolated storm or shower again later in the day. Friday, a better chance, so we'll see right there some of those scattered showers. Once that system passes south of us, we'll have a broad south flow, so we got the humidity, the tropical moisture, and a better coverage of some of those downpours in the afternoon. The thing is, they'll be slow movers, so I'm most concerned about the risk for some localized flooding if we do end up with some slow moving storms. You'll notice by Friday that system passes by, so if you're heading down to the coast for the weekend, the disturbance, it's well west, but we've just got this onshore flow. That tropical moisture just continues to flow in from the south, so it sets up a very sticky, muggy setup through the weekend. We'll have highs still in the 90s, heat index triple-digit range, and again more scattered storms. So giving you that first alert for the weekend. You can see that muggy air is here to stay for a while. As we go to the 10-day forecast, rain chances around 60% Friday, 40% this weekend, but still need to watch Monday and Tuesday. What's left of that system, Tania, could certainly bring some locally heavy rain into parts of our area. And towards the end of next week, there is a chance that we may be talking about another wave of very hot weather. You and I were discussing we may need more first alert weather days late next week. We could be talking even higher than 105-degree heat index levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
That ridge.
Yeah, listen, this is not the time to back down on your heat safety, right?
That's right.
Yeah, keep it cranking, maybe even restock up on that sunscreen.
That's right. When you start saying, hey, August is around the corner, you know it's here.
It's here, and it's here to stay. So let's talk about beyond the 7-day west. Let's break down what we're looking at as we start to branch out later into the end of this month. We're talking about July 22nd through July 26th. And as you see across much of the United States, much of the nation dealing with the heat. It's not just us, but we will be dealing with more dangerous heat as we're expecting to see more above average temperatures heading into the latter half of this month. And so noticing here, we zoom into central Alabama, the heat is here to stay. As far as our rain chances, it looks like we could be actually dealing with above average rainfall July 22nd through the 26th. That's something to keep on your radar. It looks like that greatest rain chance as we approach next week and the end of the month will remain along the Gulf Coast. So if you're making plans down to the beach, you will want to check in for updates. I don't want you to get rained down and not be able to enjoy the ocean water, right? So again, this is that time where our oceans are very active. We're in hurricane season, so you want to make sure you're buckled down on forecasts even when you're traveling. As we look beyond the 7-day, I'm actually starting to see that there's a possible chance there could be another disturbance impacting the Gulf Coast heading into July 22nd and possibly bringing more rain and possible storm development as we approach July 26th. So that's something to keep our eyes on. Looking beyond the 7-day, of course, we'll keep you well informed right here as always. Don't go anywhere though. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra, and we're always going to come back with more for you. We'll be right back after the break.
And let's take a look at those weather photos before we send you into your Wednesday evening. Gorgeous views of lightning and a cloud sent in from David Lieberman.
And beautiful. Doug Thin Pint in the Chelsea area sharing beautiful. This sunset. Lovely. Looks like fire in the sky, right?
It does. Oh, and I love this shot. Saw this come in over the weather app on the weekend. A rainbow in Coleman on I-65 sent in from Gary Nolan.
Lovely Sandestin sunset from Dawn. Just like, hey, look where I'm at, right? So.
That would be a good computer desktop background. And honestly, so would this. Rainbow in Jemison sent in from Brandy Duke.
And beautiful Lay Lake, another fiery sunset from Andrew.
That really does look like fire, honestly. And then, oh, love this. Always love seeing your nature shots. A butterfly sent in from Buddy. Gorgeous shots.
Gorgeous views. You know, a lot of times we have these tropical systems so close to the coast. I mean, we don't have a well-formed system, but it can really enhance sunsets.
We'll see you again tonight.